Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bob Buckner's first ever podcast. Um, Forgive me if this is a little weird or awkward or just flat out not funny because I am not Chris Johnson. I do not have a lot of tongue in this, so to speak. So we're just gonna dive right into it. We have a lot of movie news to cover, and could partially blame that on big old Chris Johnson there. His last show was definitely a long one. Lots of fighting with Edward Scissorhands, though. Definitely good on entertainment value. So we're going to start off with the news that Reznor Edison Pontiac announced that Red Top Blanks was not coming along as well as he once thought it was. And so he decided to recreate the idea of Willy Wonka 2. And from what we're hearing, that movie's really coming along well. Of course, it's a parody of The Departed, and we have got the set of lists. It says that Willy Wonka will match Frank Costello, Slugworth will match Colin Sullivan, Charlie will match Billy Costigan, and Grandpa Joe will match Captain Queenan. It will have the old intro from Willy Wonka, where Willy Wonka says to Charlie that the greatest thing that ever had to a faggot like him was, he lived happily ever after and whatnot. And then it will say not really or something like, jump right into Willy Wonka saying a different variation of Frank Costello's opening speech where he says he doesn't want his environment to be a product of his environment, but he wants his environment to be a product of him. Then, of course, he puts it into chocolate terms because this is Willy Wonka. And then he explains how he met Slugworth at an early age and hated him at first, but then eventually got him to work for him, and he goes undercover for Hershey's in the movie, just like Colin Sullivan kind of goes undercover as a police officer. And it'll really just match The Departed thing for thing, and it's going to have to be an amazing editing job by Sheriff Woody here. He's really gonna I'm sorry for him, but it'll be his greatest editing job pretty much to this day, because it's going to need definitely at least a little bit of editing. But anyways, not much to say on it besides that. The movie has progressed up until the opening credit scene where, in The Departed, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is in jail. That's about as far as the movie has gone right now, and of course the ending is all squared away. It's bound to be a hilarious one. But anyway, moving on, Reznor Edison Pontiac today stated that Red Top Blanks had actually made some strides. Of course, Reznor Edison Pontiac, he's an amazing fellow. He does all this writing, but he still maintains a day job, and he works on his movies during the day job. And apparently, I've got his little notes written down here. He says the basis for Red Top Blanks is the story of a guy he plays himself, apparently. Reznor Edison Pontiac is a director who directed the assassination of Tiny Tim, and ever since that movie, he's just fallen down, and he's really had a downward spiral of his life. But anyways, we've got the scene basically, and it basically starts off with a phone call about his father's funeral that he misses, and shows his like waste of life attitude, and his brothers get on him for it. They really just come out firing about him missing his father's funeral, and from then it just goes on to him just sitting there in depression watching the assassination. But from there it goes on to scene 2, where he finds an email containing his father's obituary, and reporters show up to his house. And of course he gives sarcastic answers, and they go away, and he's just feeling really bad now, so he starts walking down the road, because he actually pulls a gun on the reporters, and knowing he's going to jail, he has to flee the scene. And that's where he ends up near a sign, and he smokes a lot of marijuana there, and he really just goes into a marijuana coma, basically. And that's where he wakes up, and the sign is singing, and the guy pops out, and basically he's all confrontational about the guy. But the guy offers him to to go back along a journey to look at his past life and how he's progressed. And of course, this is really what the assassination of Tiny Tim was originally supposed to be. Just basically another Scrooge with flashbacks and three ghosts or whatever. And that never really happened. Of course, the assassination branched out into a completely different movie after the ghost of Kill Tiny Tim disappeared. But this movie will parallel ghosts, and not ghosts, but the same time bring him back to where he was. So from there, the first place that they go back is where the assassination of Tiny Tim has won an award, and the family is all sitting around celebrating and everything, and quoting lines and all that, and they're really happy and just so happy for Raznerus and Pontiac, and Razner is going on telling about how he has plans for future movies, such as a movie he calls the McGloffer-Gloffers, a movie he calls The Outcasts, and everyone's just claiming that he's going to find a lot of success, and that's when the man behind the scenes sign and Razner, they leave that scene, and the man is telling him, boy, really, things have changed, because in the next scene, they show Razner struggling to get ideas for the McGloffer-Gloffers, and at the premiere, it shows Razner and Pontiac with like a huge ego, claiming how the McGloffer-Gloffers is going to be hilarious. And actually, this is a funny part of the movie, because it's going to be him and his three brothers standing there, and that is when he's going to point out that Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson have come out of the premiere, and there's going to be voiceovers. Of course, you can't see them because the actors would never be in this movie, but of course, we're going to act out Morgan Freeman's voice saying how the McGloffer-Gloffers sucks, and how Jack Nicholson says that Muggsy is not funny at all, so that should be pretty funny. And from there, it basically moves on to Too Tall's character confronts Razner about his disappearance, and claims he only wants to make movies, and he claims that Edward Scissorhands' character has a terminal illness, to which Razner Anderson Pontiac's character is not sympathetic at all. He basically says that from the money he'll get from the Outcast, he'll be able to buy his health back, and Too Tall's character is completely taken back, and that's when he exits. And after that scene is going to be a scene where basically showing that the Outcast was a complete bust, and Jack Nicholson probably make another appearance, or like a phone message or something. But that's really as far as Razner and Pontiac has gone. He is not sure about the ending at all. He doesn't know whether to take the what really happened route and go on to how Razner decided to not star in, but appear in the Mexican Railway and direct the second and third Mexican railways. But he is contemplating that he should kill off the main character. He is not killing himself off, of course. He would be killing off the movie character Retop Blanks, which is Razner and Pontiac's birth name. Not really, it's just it in the movie. But anyways, on to a last bit of news here. We just received, Chris Johnson reported that a new movie idea has come up that called Survivors, about British people trapped in a basement during an alien invasion in London. And at first, when I read through it, I gotta be honest with you, I thought, this sounds a lot like I Am Legend 2. Too Tall Grilandos has just entered the studio. He's laughing at me. It's hilarious. And of course, I actually, the idea has sounded really funny. I like going back to the British accents, and it just the documentary style. You're mixing the assassination and you're mixing the Mexican Railway, so that actually should come out to be pretty good. It's definitely not like I Am Not Legend. It's a completely original idea, and you know, this movie just came out of nowhere, but in the very early stages, it sounds good. Maybe maybe even just scratch I Am Not Legend off the premises. I mean, I don't know. That's just me, my opinion there, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. There has been no news on I Am Not Legend, but Survivors should be a pretty good one. It sounds very entertaining so far, and if Sheriff Woody's starring in it, you know it's going to be pretty damn funny. But anyways, we're just going to wrap this up here, because, you know, I have to upload this to YouTube, and it has to be under 10 minutes. But anyways, gotta end it by saying, you know, watch out for the Chris Johnson movie. It should be out relatively soon. They just have to film up a couple last scenes on the 22nd. But aside from that, this is Bob Buckner signing out from his first podcast. Tigger.